Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life, following rules that you never even agreed to, or chasing goals that don't even light you up? That's not by accident. Society, media, and even trauma and your family conditioning have quietly programmed you to live inside a cage. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Returning Home podcast, hosted by yours truly, Lin Lim. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to pull back the curtain of The Matrix. Not the actual movie, The Matrix, but the energetic system that we've been all plugged into. How can we break free and claim our own sovereignty? If that's something that you love to learn more about, then stay around. So before we're going to dive in today's topic, I just briefly want to share that I'm going to break down this episode in 5 different parts. The first part, we're going to define what is the Matrix. The second part, we're going to break down how the Matrix has programmed us. The third part of this episode, I'm going to discuss the signs that you're living in the Matrix. The fourth part, I'm going to break down how you can break free from the programming of the Matrix. And then the last part, I'm going to share with you what it feels like to live outside of the Matrix. So stay until the end so that you get all the ins and outs of how to do this and you broaden your understanding of what life is like within and without, and how you can create this shift in your own life. So part 1, what is the Matrix? So the Matrix sounds very sci-fi like, and of course there's a movie based on it. So a lot of people associate the Matrix as this movie. But the fact is that this movie, I believe, is inspired by what's happening in real life, and they just made it symbolic in a way of taking the red pill or the green pill and this chip placed inside of our bodies. And so what the Matrix actually is an energetic construct. It's an energetic construct, very carefully crafted so that it takes over control of what happens in society, how society functions, how we as individuals function within society, that we live up to that standard that we're being fed. It creates fear within people, and it also creates a sense of I am not enough, or I am unworthiness and shame. And so that's what the Matrix does. But how is the Matrix capable of doing that? In understanding what the Matrix is, it's also understanding that both we are living in a dark and light battle. That's just something that resonates deeply with me after doing tons and tons of research within my spiritual awakening journey. We live in a battle where the dark forces are trying to control, manipulate society so that we basically feed their system, where they can feed of us. And it keeps us in an invisible cage. And the light side is trying to break out of this and shift the world into a new age. You might have heard of the 3D to 5D shift, or the new earth. And that's currently what we're living into, is these two systems or energies battling each other. And so these dark forces, you can call it a group of people or the shadow government or entities, however you want to name it. It's very carefully crafted in a way that it controls certain parts of our reality, meaning that it controls social norms, it controls media narratives, it controls the beliefs and what we think, and it controls our trauma conditioning. So it's not just an external thing anymore. The whole purpose of the Matrix is that it's this external construct that now translates into our internal construct. So what that means is that through all these different ways that they are able to assert their control, we start to internalize what we learn. It's a little like hypnosis. And I remember when we were moving through the pandemic, we were somewhere in Portugal and we bumped into this couple, and this woman was specialized in hypnotherapy. And she said, it's so crazy because people aren't aware that they're being hypnotized. They're being brainwashed with all these subliminal messages and all these messages everywhere around. This is not about the way that you view what happened then, but it's about understanding that if the narrative, the media narrative is controlled, if certain social norms are controlled, and we listen and consume all of this on the radio, on television, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, or whatever media outlets there are, and we read the newspapers, then they can control the way that we view reality and the way that we view ourselves. Because what you repeat after 21 days, it becomes part of your subconscious mind. So they now... What once was something external now is internalized, and we start living this narrative. So they cannot directly control us, but they can indirectly control us through feeding us all these messages, not only throughout the media sources, but throughout our conditioning and even, what we inherit from our families, what they believed and what they've gone through and the trauma they've endured. That's what we inherit and that we take on, right? So it's a construct of something that basically takes you away from who you are, because they instill messages of you're not enough, or you need some external power in order to be accepted in society, to be praised in society, to be seen as good as in society. They basically teach us that who we are in our core isn't enough, and that we need to lean onto them in order to get that for ourselves. So it isn't safe to be yourself, it isn't safe to be our authentic self, and we start becoming ashamed of who we are, and we become fearful of falling outside of this idealization, because not only because we've been programmed this way do we want to live up to those certain standards, but also because it's culturally programmed. The pressure now also comes from the peers and the people that we surround ourselves with. So in very specific way, how does the Matrix program us? It programs us within society, so conditioning around success and productivity, beauty, identity. Then in media, it's fear-based messaging. I don't know if you've ever read a newspaper, or watched the news, but most of it is fear-based. Like basically when you read the newspaper or you look at television, I've witnessed this all throughout my life, and it's never changed, and it's always the same old thing. It's always based in fear, and the world is completely effed up. And it's not only the news, but for example, and this is what I experienced also growing up, was that they were controlling the narrative of beauty and basically comparison. So they were using all these celebrities to form a narrative of how you should look, how you should talk, whatever they were doing, that was cool, right? So that was something that was being followed by society. So they use these well-known people to use them as an example for what was viewed as good and acceptable. So what this creates is it creates separation and comparison, because now as little children, we look up to these superheroes or these celebrities or whatever, and we feel like, oh, we need to be like them because then I'll get all the recognition, or I get all the fame, or I get all the love and belonging that I need. So it's all a curated reality, but the truth is that it's all really an illusion. It's not something that's real, but because we've been programmed subconsciously, we now experience it as being real. But the truth is that it's not really real. We need to shift back to the divine matrix, the matrix of how Mother Gaia, our human existence was intended to be, to the God matrix, right? So the third thing of how they program us is through trauma. So they create personal survival systems that mimic societal control. So think about sentences or things that you've learned or beliefs that you took on, such as, whenever you were playing and being loud as a kid, you were taught that you cannot be too loud, so don't be too loud. Or something along the lines of be perfect, or don't be angry, or don't show your vulnerability, don't show your weaknesses, or big boys don't cry. And so what happens is, because we get this programming and we think, oh, it's not okay for me to do this or to feel this, and we start suppressing parts of who we are, we want to start conforming, because then we feel like we're safe because we're loved. And when we're loved, it's a primal human need is to feel loved, to have love, and to feel like you belong somewhere. We are wired for community to survive. And so this is how they keep us in the matrix. So how can you know what are the signs that you're living inside this program? What are things that may not be you, who you are authentically, but is something that you've been taught and now it's become part of your life and who you are? Is whenever you're experiencing disempowered states such as self-doubt, or not feeling worthy, or not feeling enough, or feeling like you need to people please, or you need to live like this person, those are signs that you might be living in a program that wasn't truly yours to start with. You weren't born with that. This is not who your soul is, but it's something that you've been taught. Maybe also something that I currently have been seeing a lot. I reached an age where things like having children or buying a house or getting financially secure or stuff like that is a big thing, because around this age, this is what you should figure out, right? This is what you should have. And I don't think that this is bad at all, but it's just this thing when you feel like you need or you should have certain things in your life by a certain age. No one said that there is a time frame for this. No one said that there's a specific timeline where you need to get X or you should get X, otherwise you're not significant anymore, or you don't matter, or you're seen as someone who's looked down on in society. So when you feel like you should need to have something, or you should want certain things at a specific point in your life, but you don't feel like you actually really want it, but you should want it, that's a sign that that's a programming that's not really yours, that's being projected onto you. Another sign is a lack of your connection to your intuition or your inner truth. We all are born with a specific personality, character, truth, our soul truth, and our intuition, our internal guidance system. But what happens is, when we get this programming and we're basically being flushed with all this information and all these ways of being and all these things that we should be or should want by certain ages in our lives, then we are being blinded with all this external pressure, what now becomes an internal thing, so that we don't really hear our internal voice or truth anymore. And then the last sign of that you're living in the matrix or inside this programming is second guessing yourself, or worrying a lot, or being stuck in overthinking loops, or anxiety, especially when you're making choices. Because maybe this programming now becomes an inner conflict, because maybe deep down you feel, I want to go this way, or this is what I want for my life, or this is what feels right for me. But then what you've learned, your mind or your ego now tells you that no, you should want this, or this other path is good for you. So there's this conflict between what you deep down internally feel is right for you and true for you, and there's this thing that wants to that tells you that you need to conform, and you get very lost and confused in what is truly my voice, what is the right path for me, what's the right decision for me. So now that we've covered the signs, how can we start deprogramming ourselves? And how can we break free from this mind construct, from this energetic construct? So first of all, with everything that we want to change, we need to start with becoming aware. Start with awareness. Without being aware of something, you cannot really change it. So we need to become aware of all the things within us that is actually not really us. So think about questioning what it is that you believe, questioning your thoughts, questioning where that comes from and why you think that and why you feel like you need to have X at this point in your life, or why you need to want this or whatever. It's not that you should question yourself and doubt yourself, but it's more so of a being intrigued with why you think the things that you think, why you believe the things that you believe. Are they even yours, or is it something that you've been taught from your parents, your family, culture, whatever external forces influenced you in your life? So the second thing is, because I talked about what the Matrix does is instill fear within us, the fear of survival, is we need to learn to heal our nervous system, to regulate our nervous system, to switch out of that survival mode into rest and relax and digest. It is so important for us to want to be sovereign in the first place. We need to feel safe to be ourselves. Right? We need to feel safe in the world and safe within ourselves. So we need to feel safe, and that's why we need to regulate our nervous system so we can switch out of that survival mode. And so different tools that you can use is somatic therapy. There are a lot of body workers who use somatic practices. I love to use EFT. Breath work is amazing. So all different things that helps the body to feel safe, that regulates your nervous system. Another thing, and this is so important, is a social media detox. I was recently talking with a girl that I met here, and she said that she, I remember not how long. I think it was a month. She did a social or a phone detox for a month. So she didn't have her phone with her for a month. And I thought it was amazing because she said, now I could really reconnect with my intuition. Suddenly I had so much more time. I could, cultivate creativity and use all of that time to connect more with myself, and also to become creative with my time and spontaneous, to think about ideas of what to do, because now that she wasn't on her phone anymore, she had so much time. Like, when you were younger, maybe you can recognize that, where you just had to improvise with what you had at that moment. And so it triggered a very creative part within her. And I love this so much. You don't have to completely detach from your phone, but it's about detoxing from the media that you consume, being very conscious about what you consume, because what you look at is also what you consume energetically. So this talks about social media, it talks about the news. I don't watch the news. I've never done that. I've tried even for a long time to watch the news because people told me I should watch it, but I just didn't have that natural interest. And I heard about the news anyways because everyone is a walking, talking newspaper nowadays. But yeah, like I said, the newspaper is very fear-driven. So that will also help you to get out of that state of, oh, the world is going down and everything is bad in the world. It's to connect with what's good in my world right now and how can I contribute to other people. And it's not to be completely ignorant to everything that's happening in the world, but it's just having that healthy boundary in your life. And also when you're looking at social media detox, if you don't want to quit watching social media, then just be conscious of, who am I following? be more intentful with it. So look at the people who you are following. Look at the things that make you feel good and the things that make you feel bad or fearful, or you fall into comparison. Maybe mute those people or unfollow them for a while. And fill yourself up with content that feels empowering, that stimulates your growth and your learning. Things that make you feel good and empowered within yourself, that brings you back that sovereignty. Then another thing, a big thing, is shadow work. The person who invented shadow work is Carl Jung. He's a Swiss psychologist, and he introduced that the shadow is part of our subconscious. It's the unconscious part of who we are. And what he says within shadow work is that it always starts with awareness, where you identify the aspects of yourself, certain emotions that you repress, certain parts of yourself that you repress and deny, that maybe you've been taught that's bad or not okay within society or unacceptable. This could be society or within your family. Practicing acceptance around that. So accepting yourself and all these different ways of being that you've suppressed, to accept those and to see them as the whole of who you are, and that they're also part of who you are, not just the good part, but also the bad, quote unquote, because nothing is really bad. It's just the way that we've been programmed to see it. So basically what shadow work does is healing and integrating those disowned parts of ourselves, as Carl Jung refers to it, and it allows us to connect with who we truly are. It allows us to connect us with our internal truth and our intuition, and to become whole humans, and to feel empowered and balanced, and to feel sovereign again. And so that's the whole point of breaking free from the matrix, right? Is actually deconditioning ourselves and becoming who we are in our core, our authentic selves. And then the last part of how to break free from the matrix is reconnection to yourself. It's reconnection with your internal GPS system, your intuition, that is usually more subtle, not so loud. It's the subtle voice that we can tune into. And the more you do that, the louder that voice becomes, and the more it can start guiding you in your life, and the more it will feel more present. And so what you need to do then is also learning to trust that, and trust yourself, and trust that you know the best how to navigate your life, what you truly want, reconnecting with your dreams and your core desires, and things that genuinely make you happy and make you feel like this is not something that I've been taught. And even if you want something that you've been taught and you genuinely want it, it's not like it's bad to want those things now. It's basically just connecting with your own wants, needs, who you are, your true voice, and your authentic expression. So the last part of this episode, like I said, is now that you've gone through that work. So imagine that you're going through this work, or you're in the process of healing, you're in the process of deconditioning yourself, you're in the process of awakening to yourself and what's your truth and what's been taught truth. We start to shift into the versions of ourselves that are completely free, completely sovereign, completely in your own power, within your own lane, doing what you came to do here, what you want to do here, what makes you happy, not because you were taught that is what makes you happy, but is what you genuinely feel makes you happy. So this is what that feels like. It feels like freedom, because your thoughts are yours now, and you're not being controlled by some sort of narrative that you feel like is haunting you or you need to live up to. It allows you to break free from that invisible cage. It allows you to explore new venues, new ways to live your life, to start earning your money in different ways, or to have a home that feels great to you, to live and design your life in a way that is truly designed to make you happy. And that's basically, I'm seeing 33 right now. That's basically what life outside the matrix is. Also, what you start to feel when you live outside the matrix is that you're not so in tune anymore with time. You're not so in tune anymore with what's happening or the set things that we're being fed, certain, I don't know, like certain celebrations or whatever traditions. You're more living in your own flow of time, and time is an illusion anyway. That's a little bit more set within the 3D reality, because time doesn't truly exist. It's how we experience it. So you will see that time starts to feel a little bit more lucid or different. You maybe forget the days. You live in a way that isn't set to a schedule of how to do things or a structured plan that's being fed to you. It's your own schedule now, and it's your own way of being that feels good to you and ultimately makes you feel really free and sovereign. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you most. Let me know in the comments where you are in this process. Let me know what your thoughts are about the Matrix. I'm very curious to know. And also let me know where you guys are tuning in from, because I'd love to get to know you. Please like this video if you've liked this video. Share this video with anyone who you think could benefit from this message right now. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so, as you will be the first to watch every episode that I upload every Sunday and every podcast episode every other week. For those of you who are tuning in from Apple Podcast or Spotify, be sure to give my podcast a 5-star review if you enjoy content like this. This will help spread these messages to a wider audience that, are souls like you who are on the same path, who are going through the same things, and we do need each other to know that we're not alone, that we're not the only one who are experiencing these things and these breakdowns within and these big realizations of, whoa, everything is just such a mind F, and what I've been taught of how to live and what reality works like isn't how it works at all. So please do that so that this message can reach more people like you. Check out my Lightworker merchandise if you haven't already. I love the way that the new designs have come out. My most favorite designs are the Lightworker ones, the Namaste ones. The Be Free is a classic. I love that one. Still wear that one a lot. If you decide to purchase it, I really appreciate you. Also, don't forget to showcase it because I'd love to see it. And then lastly, I'm currently growing my YouTube channel to 10,000 subscribers, and I cannot do it alone. I need all of you. So if you enjoy content like this, if you enjoy my podcast episodes or my weekly videos, then please be sure to comment, like, and share it, and subscribe to the channel, because everything that you guys do really contributes, and I cannot do it without all of you. So please, if you feel like you've learned something from this, or you just feel like, oh, this is something that someone I know should really hear because I think it will resonate with them, I so appreciate you. Let's do this together. Let's grow to 10,000 subscribers and grow this beautiful community. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep being your beautiful self. I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Bye for now.